Idris, you have been involved in campaigning against knife crime for a long time now, but this really feels like a reset.
Yes.
Tipping point, I've heard it be called, because of the statistics around knife crime at the moment.
Yeah.
Talk to me about why now? Why launch this campaign now?
Honestly, symbolically, being the turn of the year, a new energy, it feels like a time to actually really push the agenda as strongly as we can. And usually on the turn of a new year, people have a new energy. So we're symbolically outside Parliament with, some of the actual clothes of some of the actual victims. And we wanted that to just really symbolize how much I think as a society we care about this issue. We want something done, and we should do something, and that's why now. It's critical. I think we're seeing a rise, not a decline, and that needs to change. I think that we're not saying much to society, to young people, by allowing this problem to escalate. It should be going the other way. And so, outside Parliament, because, the truth is, I'm asking simply to symbolically put an absolute ban on machetes and zombie knives now, today. Why? Because I think the nation want to see that we do care about our youth. Banning knives and banning zombie knives and machetes isn't going to eradicate the problem, but what it will symbolically say is that our society has no tolerance for it. It's a real shame that every New Year's, we're seeing someone passing from knife crime, and it's bad.
And the government have the power to prioritise this, to escalate this. They've been talking about new laws against machetes and zombie knives for some time now. They have the power to prioritise this. Yeah. And you're calling them out on that because they're not. I'm asking them to put it at an absolute forefront. Last August, I think there was an announcement that they are going to ban zombie knives and machetes and swords, but there's this loophole that's slowing the whole thing down. I'm saying to the government, let's put a refocus on it, put pressure on this, and get rid of it. Now, when they put a ban on, I think it's an American dog. XL bullies, it happened really quickly. And, we know that this type of legislation can move quickly, and why not this one? And it should be pushed quickly. And I think, quite frankly, as we're moving into a political cycle in government, things like this is what the country really wants to see the government make a push on. And so that's why we're doing it now, and that's why I'm here. You've spoken to a lot of bereaved families throughout your time involved in ending knife crime, but particularly in the build-up to this new campaign, and you've seen the impact it has on families.
Yes.
And it's cool, of course it's right we focus on that, but you're also focusing today on the young lives that are being lost for those that carry out the crimes as well, and the ripple effect for their families. And why is it so important for you to focus on that, for it almost to be reframed?
Yeah, look, Don't Stop Your Future is about the future. The country's future, these young people's future. It's not just the victim and the perpetrator whose lives get disrupted. It's a real reverberation, a ripple effect, and it literally affects our entire country. So I think it's really important that there's a perspective shift. I'm an actor, I tell stories, okay? On New Year's Eve, while the rest of us are having a good time, someone had to knock on the door of a family and say, I'm really sorry, your son's not coming home. Okay, that person, the paramedic that had to deal with that young person's lives affected. Okay, the families forever will have this moment, marred in their lives. And so what I'm talking about right now is how can we prevent it? What is the intervention schemes that we can put together as a society collectively and figure this out? Okay, we can do it in other areas and we've seen it happen, so why not do it for this?
Knife crime is always spoken about in the framework of crime, but up in Scotland, for example, Strathclyde Police have treated it as a public health issue.
Yeah.
They've looked at the root causes of knife crime, and it all leads back to poverty, those from disadvantaged backgrounds feeling they have, no pathway in life, that unfortunately they have to take a wrong turn. Do you think that's how it should be framed in this country? Because you're talking about youth services today as well, or the lack thereof.
Yeah, I think, there's real hard facts that where they have cut youth services from budgetary, from budgets, then you see a rise in crime, okay? And those are hard facts. And I think what's happened in Glasgow has been something that we should take a leaf out of their book. There's a few thoughts of how we can triangulate this issue. It isn't just the parents, it isn't just the youth, it's also the social services, the youth services, the health services and the police that can actually put together some think tanks and go, how do we stop this? Prevent and intervene. There's a young person right now holding a knife, not because they are a perpetrator, but because they're scared of a perpetrator. And there you've got two people being affected right now. There's some way an educator, a school, a hospital can say, hey, I've just met this young person. I think they are troubled. Can I hand it over to you? Can we think about this as a group and find a way to sort of really prevent this? Like I said, banning knives is not going to eradicate the problem, but what it's going to symbolize to the country is that we care, and then we need to put together some real think tanking. Disrupting the line of how knives get into the hands is really important. Someone delivers them, someone makes a profit from them, someone advertises them, tech companies find them on their phones, young people see them, they're glorified in songs. We need to try and put our thinking caps together and go, stop. The one thing I learned from the families is that the families have to think about this every single day, and their critical thinking around this is right at the middle of where we should be. The government need to listen to the families, they need to listen to the youth services, okay? Because we spend more money on the aftermath of these deaths than we do on the prevention of them, and we need to really rethink that.
When people talk about youth services, a lot of people just think about youth clubs, but it's about having responsible, approachable adults in the community for those who perhaps don't have the role models in their lives. It's about giving them opportunities for careers or education to, follow the path they don't think is open to them. And you're a direct beneficiary of that, right, through the Prince's Trust, because you grew up in London, in Hackney. You've spoken openly before about people you knew from when you were younger who took the wrong path, but you had that opportunity. Do you feel that those opportunities are there at the moment? They can make a real difference because perhaps you feel like it did for you?
I think there's a young Idris or a young person somewhere now who's 14, 15 years old, who's frightened to death about their community because of knives, whose future might not make it. There's the future leader of our country sitting watching this news show going, well, I don't know what they think of knife crimes because I'm not seeing them doing it. What happens if that person gets attacked? Then that future of our country is disrupted. So the campaign is really about how do we future-proof this problem, okay? It's small now, comparatively, like 1,000 people over the last 15 years have lost their lives, okay? Thereabouts. That's relatively small. But when you wake up in the morning and you go to the doctor and the doctor says to you, you know what, you have a life-threatening disease and you have to change your course now, you do it immediately. And if that healthcare person cares for you, they'll follow up. So I'm asking us as a society, as a government, to sort of think about this carefully, okay? Our future depends on it. We can't let knife crime escalate.
What do you think the misconceptions are about knife crime? Because talking to bereaved families, they say, look, we're a normal family. If it can happen to us, it can happen to any one of you. It's not something that just happens, in some areas of London.
Yeah, the misconceptions are really broad, from the fact that that it's some underground belly you get these knives. No, if you're old enough, you can buy one from your phone and it can get delivered to you by the postal service, okay? It's not an underground scenario. It's not just a black issue. It's not just a London issue. It's a nationwide issue, and it's growing. The misconceptions are really, really wide, and they're worrying because, until it happens to you, you kind of see it on the news and you go, okay, and then it's gone. And I think it's something that we have to remind ourselves it's collective. Muggings are going up and they're using knives to mug people, okay? People are terrified of knives because it's a very dangerous weapon. It can hurt, when someone is attacked with a knife, there isn't a standardized first aid approach to it. There should be, because knife crime is up. So I think that a massive education around this topic is really needed, and it would really be a good symbol for our government to just look at this today and go, okay, let's just get together some critical thinkers, listen to the youth services, listen to the parents, and think about how we change it.
Final question, Idris. I know part of this campaign is calling for cross-party support. You talked about cohesion, about thinking about all the elements, and policy not to change with a change in government. You've been brought on not just because of your passion, but because of your platform as well. Have you spoken to the Prime Minister? Have you spoken to the Home Secretary? Is that the next step, to sit down with them?
This morning I sent a letter to the Prime Minister, I sent a letter to the Home Secretary, just to really sort of encourage an opportunity to sit together and talk and be heard. Listen, I am an actor. I'm an entertainer. I use in art. I'm using, my voice, my platform. But however, I really feel that, we can pull together a group of people to help the government tackle this. It's not just their fault. It's not just the parents' fault. It's not the youth's fault. It's not the youth services fault. It's not just the budgetary thing. It's all of us. So I'm hoping that, I get an opportunity to use the platform, to sit in the rooms, to gather people that are, the grassroots knife crime organisations, to be heard. And that's important, especially the families, because they really, really understand the problem. They have to sit in the court systems and listen to what happened to their sons, and they're asking these very poignant questions, which might just go under the radar of the policymakers. So, yeah.
Idris, thank you so much for your time and good luck with the campaign.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Thank you.